Counter-Narrative News, bringing you daily news today on Sunday the 19th of February 2023. Israel has bombed Damascus, Syria, targeting the Iranian presence and infrastructure there. Israel has been involved in bombing Syria for around a decade, every several weeks or so. In late December last year, the Russian leadership said it wants to deepen its strategic relations with its primary ally in the region, which is the Tel Aviv regime, and they wanted to develop this partnership on all levels. Israel cannot bomb Syria without the support and the tacit approval and facilitation of its senior partner in Moscow, and it will continue to do so going forward. Russia has used and abused Syria in accordance to its strategic interests in negotiating power play with Western imperialism, to which it invited in a formal setup of bombing Syria, also using Syria in its negotiations de facto with Tel Aviv, with Ankara and other regional states there. Also connected to this is that it's been reported that the Israeli representative to the African Union has been removed from the African Union session. Some have postured that this is some kind of anti-Israeli move by the African Union, but this is not the case, as the African Union is arguing it's a technical issue whereby the actual formally recognized representative to the African Union by Israel was not the person attending the summit, rather it was someone else. The interest and scope of Tel Aviv's influence across the region, across Africa, has greatly increased as a result of the destruction of arguably the greatest obstacle to its influence across Africa, which was the former socialist Jamahirian state in Libya that was destroyed by NATO in 2011. The fruits of that destruction continue to see its harvest when it comes to the interests of leading Western nations, Putin and the Wagner death squad, and also Israel and its allies in the region. Going over to India, well-known radical writer and activist Arundhati Roy has written an opinion piece for the London-based newspaper The Guardian, in which she analyses what she calls the twin towers of the new right or the new fascism in India, which is on the one hand the BJP and Modi, and on the other hand the Indian finance capitalist group, the Adani group. She argues that these two things really go together, which is in line with the century-plus-long analysis that the rise of fascism represents the most rapacious and violent elements of the ruling capitalist classes. The Adani Group wealth increased from $8 billion to $137 billion in the 9 years of the Modi and BJP rule. In 2022, the Adani Group made $72 billion, which is more than the next richest billionaire's profits put together. Arundhati Roy, in her opinion piece, also critiques the way the Modi regime has responded to the BBC documentary investigating the Modi and BJP's role in sectarian pogroms in 2002 in Gujarat, and also other issues pertaining to oppressed groups in the country, most notably and foremostly the Muslim community there, and also the situation in Indian-controlled Kashmir. Arundhati Roy is correct to critique and expose the BJP's posture that the BBC documentary on Modi and the BJP, and also the campaign to expose Adani Group's corruption, is somehow some kind of colonial attack on India. Arundhati Roy is right to rubbish this, as she correctly points out that on February the 15th, Modi meets Biden in relation to a deal in which Modi will buy 470 Boeing and Airbus aircraft from Biden, which Biden says will assist 1 million jobs in the USA, and also that these aircraft will be powered by Rolls-Royce, which the far-right leader of Britain, Rishi Sunak, says that this is for UK's aerospace market, and for which the sky is the limit, and it seems to be that it also the right-wing fascism of the Modi regime is not going to limit these type of deals. Going to other news around the far right, the far right based leadership based in Britain has been trying a provocation in Ireland around the figures of Tommy Robinson, real name Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, and also his right-hand man Danny Tomo. They've tried to go to Dublin to increase their project in Ireland, and really this is in line with the far-right Tory state and the British intelligence services, which are trying to create an anti-EU posture through the means of anti-migrant politics, which was achieved in Britain through the Brexit victory at the June 2017 referendum, and they're trying similarly over there. This attempt of Tommy Robinson to infiltrate Ireland has not altogether been a success for him, and it's not altogether been a failure. He did have to make himself scarce from the streets because of various threats to him, and he did have a personal protection by the Irish police called the Gardaí. Nonetheless, he did still achieve his trip over with his colleagues, and they did traipse around Dublin making some interviews, so it wasn't altogether a failure for Yaxley-Lennon either. There has been a big liberal left mobilisation that's anti-racist and pro-migrants that on the one hand is welcome on the streets in Dublin. On the other hand, we know very well that just protests, peaceful protests that do not confront the powers that be or the far right are useless until a situation where the far right presence is removed by any means necessary off the streets. And in this regard, and to the last item here, the far right, including the openly, basically, the new version of the neo-Nazi British Nationalist Party, Patriotic Alternative, have been marching around central Oxford yesterday, that's Saturday, and also today, that's Sunday, around really manipulating the issue of LTNs, low traffic neighborhoods, in a very twisted and deceitful and manipulative manner, in trying to create some kind of wacky conspiracy theories out of that. But really all of that is an opportunistic means by which the far right, facilitated by the security state in Britain, is able to really colonize these different campaigning issues. That was Counter Narrative News, bringing you daily news today. Please do continue to support us by encouraging your friends and contacts to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at counter_CNN. We wish you a fantastic day.